Hello, good evening, Danitza. How are you? Is everything okay?
Good evening, Jose. Yes, everything is okay.
Great, that's good. Let's begin, please, with today's class. Again, we as always, right, have some extra things to do. I don't know if you were able to work on some elements to check now. I believe that you were able to work on some details. Let me know, please, if there is something to check. You can read that for me, and we can start with that.
Okay. Yes, I did the assignment just partially. Uh, I just only complete one fanboy, one semicolon with a fanboy, just one. I was trying to figure out the second. I couldn't. I
Okay,
couldn't.
let's see how it went.
Okay. She didn't think twice about him, and before he asked her to go out, to his surprise, she invited him to join the lecture club that morning. For this unexpected event, he felt so grateful and accepted the invitation to spend more time with her. That's one. And the other is incomplete. Uh, she decided to move to Germany with nothing more than his intermediate English and a bag, with the knowledge that she met this guy through Facebook. I was trying to make a history, but I couldn't finish.
Okay, we can
Okay.
complete that one. Yeah, go ahead, continue, please, Anita.
The other is after hearing about the accident, she felt worried and started to imagine the worst scenario. He probably felt sleep. In his words, my good opinion, once lost, is lost forever.
All right, okay, good. Few observations. You're going to finish, right? The second idea that it didn't complete. But here, right, if you have a period, of course, that's going to be incorrect over there, right? With the knowledge that she met this guy through
Just
Facebook.
incomplete.
It's incomplete, right? But it's good. You know what you're doing there. Then here, it is great. Okay, this is a great sentence. But again, this is not working with fanboys. I mean, in the standard way, yes, because we're using it with commas, right? But actually, this is not working this with fanboys. Why? Because this for is not working as a coordinating conjunction. This is just a preposition for this specific introductory phrase, right? For this unexpected event. So it is not working as a fanboy. In order to use a semicolon with fanboys, it has to be a fanboy working as a coordinating conjunction. And it means that you are going to have semicolon, the fanboy, and you need, and we can use say this in many words, right? A complete sentence, an independent clause. All right, that's what we need.
I can
After
use
this,
so here.
so you can use
So,
so, all the fanboys,
so if
all you can
no,
use.
just to fix the sentence, something like that morning. So he felt so grateful, or he felt grateful. And
Yes, yes. I mean, and the reason why you're using semicolon is because of the first part, right? But to make it even, we're trying again. This is not going to work every time for natural conversations or for your writing, right? But in order to make a perfect sentence, yes, you try to fix it like that. Use so, but after so, you can try to give me another long idea that really makes me feel that that semicolon is necessary over there. Uh-huh. So how will you change?
English.
Actually, let's do this now.
I'm sorry.
Okay, it is good. Perfect. So he felt so grateful and accepted the invitation to spend more time with her. Now, what else can you add to make it more complex and to say, yes, that was the best decision? Using the semicolon with so was the best thing that the writer could have done.
Okay. Yeah. Something natural could be. I can say that we spend more time with her in, I don't know, mm, in mutual context or mutual.
You can say what exactly they can do, right? He felt so grateful and accepted the invitation to spend more time with her.
Reading books.
And doing what, right? By doing this, by going to these elements, or by, I don't know.
Her reading books or working. Um, making, making, um, uh, workshops could be. It is workshops.
Okay, but it depends if you're, I don't know if you participate, if you create that, creating, producing, or it can be even planifying. There can be something different, or organizing, perhaps. It's going to be better if you want to work with that idea. And one more, so that we have a list of items and it's going to be well justified.
Uh, Something like that. Workshops. Um, Taking care of books.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, right? You can spend time with someone doing many things. So yes, taking care, but you have to mention an object. Uh-huh.
Mm, mm, like I can say something like taking care of the books, you know, treat them well.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible if you are borrowing those books and you have to, of course, right, return the books in a
Yeah,
right
that's
good.
right. Like that guy. Okay, fixing. If you, I don't know, how can I say? Yes, you can fix books, right? And change their portadas. And
Yes. The portrait can be the portraits, the face. Sometimes they call the face the portrait. But in that one, in that case,
fix them.
like fixing directly,
Mm,
there are specific things that you can do with that. Mending, sometimes to mend something, right? But no, that's going
mhm.
to be to like compensation. Uh-huh.
And and I
It works.
invite
Yes.
other people, invite another other persons to join the club.
Okay. Yes. 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 And again, it was good. If you wanted to fix again, it was good and it was possible, Danitza. But I wanted to look for a better alternative. All right. But yes, this is just for practice, right? So it's working great and good. I like what you're doing. You're finding right other alternatives, looking for solutions, and this was great. You got to fix this very quick, Danitza. It's good. Usually, I always feel that you feel right kind of insecure when you're trying to fix something because you don't know if it's going to be better or not. But now I felt that you were confident doing this because you knew that this was the solution. You used the coordinating conjunction. So, and you completed this by adding a list of items. So it's great. It's great. I want to feel that that needs some more often. All right. It is good. It
Okay.
was very good. Just here, try to add this. If you're going to say doing and you use by, it means that this is the way in which they are going to spend time together. Okay, by doing this and that, right? So you can say, I'm going to fix my problems. But if I say I'm going to fix my problems, dealing with this, doing this and doing that, it's going to be good, but it's going to feel a little bit robotic. Okay, in order to introduce the list of things that you're going to do in order to achieve something that you mentioned before, you use the preposition by. Okay, that's the only detail that needs. I don't know if you have any questions then, because again, it was great what you did. It was great.
Thank you. No, I don't have
Okay, great. No, you're welcome. Good. And just here, remember, right? You're going to fix going to complete this, just one clarification here. Germany, right? It's the country, always capital letter, but always remember that also languages, right? So this one is also going to be with capital letter. All right, just that one, but that's not going to be part of the correction. That's going to be when you finish everything. And here it is good, but remember, not failed, right? You fall asleep or you fell asleep, right? So it is going to be double L, right? Not LT, because failed is the past of feel, but fail is the past of fall. Just that one,
Yes.
right? You fall asleep, you don't feel asleep,
I felt. Yes.
right? Just that one. Great. I believe we're working good. This again, what you did here, again, it's a very good thing because it makes me see that you are managing or you're getting to manage and to use punctuation marks in a good way. Because this is one of the most, if not the most difficult, one of the most difficult or right rules for punctuation marks. Because if you analyze anything else, is just something more specific. Here, you need to understand first how to use commas to make a correct example with this, right? You need to know that you have to use commas for a list of items, commas for introductory phrases, for interrupters, right? And once you know that, you can write a complex sentence or a sentence that uses those commas and justifies the usage of the so with a semicolon, right? Because if not, again, the best thing to do is always with a comma. Okay, but remember also, and I'm finishing with this to go to the next part, Danitza, this is an alternative. But if you're the writer and well, of course, you're going to be working for the TOEFL test. There, sometimes this is not going to be the best option. The best option, if you feel that you have something that is long, lengthy, it is going to be to use, instead of a coordinating conjunction, a transitional word or phrase. What transitional words or phrases do you use to replace situation?
You um you said something? Your mic was lagging or my internet is. Do you hear me?
Yes, I believe it was my connection. Then it's, were you able to listen to most of the parts that I was saying, or what was not clear? In order to
You said something about transitional words.
okay, yes.
That's right.
So this is good. Again, you getting to use this is great. Because actually, if you do this in your TOEFL exam and in any other place in which you can show your skills, again, they are going to see that you know how to use punctuation marks. Okay, and that's always positive. So do it. But again, what I was saying is that sometimes we have better alternatives. And this is just because we are going to go to the next part of our practice, that is transitional words and phrases. And I was asking you, in the case of wanting to be more precise, because this can be replaced by a transitional word or phrase. What transitional words and phrases do you know, Danitza, that we can use to replace so in this situation?
Mm, 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 um, I don't know. So yes.
What is so? What is so doing in this element? That's also important for you, because you're going to notice that sometimes you're going to repeat and you're going to repeat so but, and we have to look for alternatives to replace that. We are not going to have a lot of fanboys to look for alternatives, right? For so, we don't have an alternative with fanboys. So we have to use transitional words and phrases or adverbs. But first, what is so? What is the function of so in this example, Danitza? If you
Mm,
know that, you're going to immediately know transitional words.
It's a result of how he felt with, with the action of the girl.
Mhm. Yeah, so you have one transitional word over there as a result, right? So semicolon as a result, or as a result of that, comma, he felt so grateful and accepted. So that's one option, and that's very formal. It's also a consequence, right? So as a consequence, consequently, it's also like not the conclusion necessarily, right? But it's what comes up, right? What finishes after something else. So you can say thus, therefore. Okay, so you have all those alternatives that show in a certain way consequence of something, right? Consequence, result, the the final point of something. So works like that. So again, if you analyze what you also got in the element that I sent you before, Danitza, I'm going there. Where was it? It was A9. Yes, and it's something you're going to cover with me. We have one lesson that we're going to cover today, then we go to our practice. But here, remember that you have this document, right? Punctuation rules. And here I give you a list with transitional words and phrases related to addition, to, well, and it says adversative, it shows contrast or concession, causal or result. Here, right? Consequently, therefore, thus, accordingly, as a result of this, as a result of that, for this reason, as a consequence. All right? These are the ones that you can use to replace so. And again, it's very important that you know that immediately, right? If I tell you, how can you replace and? Because I feel that and is being repeated too many times, Danitza. Right? So what do you say? How do you replace and? What alternatives do you have?
Mm,
Of course, in punctuation, you have to do some things, right? We cannot use commas, but we can use semicolon or period. So after the semicolon or period, what transitional words can you use instead of saying period and? Using period and
Also,
starting with and is not a good idea. Uh-huh.
also, and
Also,
furthermore. Oh, furthermore could be.
furthermore, correct? Exactly,
Yeah,
those two.
furthermore.
What else? And here you have, right? All of them. So, no, not all of them, right? Some of them are going to be for different situations. That's what we're going to cover with me. But yes, also, furthermore,
Addition.
additionally, moreover, in addition to that, right? This now different situation, different situation. But those ones, right? Good alternatives. One, two, three, four, five. And that's more than enough for any writing exercise that you got. Okay, so and but, right, that's easy. You have here, right? But, however, conversely, in contrast, right, on the contrary, sometimes, right, it depends on the context and how you state that idea. Nevertheless, also it depends. Usually, however, and not unless and nevertheless, they are not the same. Usually, however, is contrast, and nevertheless and nonetheless, they are concession. Okay, and it's different. A concession is not the same as contrast. But in general situations, they can be interchangeable, and you can use however, nonetheless, nevertheless, and the thing that you transmit is going to be equally clear. All right. But again, this is something that we have to be very sure of, right? In order to use these elements to replace some fanboys in some situations. But again, I wanted to clarify that. Now, I want to know if you have any questions, because I was just stating that to show that we can always look for alternatives. So, do you have any questions or any comments before going to our lesson, and then to show you something about the transitional words? Let me know, please, Danitza.
No, I don't have questions, but I didn't practice, but now I will try to use adverbs and transitional words. Yes.
Yes, and that's something where you're going to do with me. Now, as you were practicing, you're still, right, missing, remember? you're still missing one more complete
Fun.
example with a
Mhm.
fanboy, right? You have to complete this. And with citation, right, to clarify, you got it. And I believe it worked pretty good. If you feel that you want to practice or you need to practice, you can still write some examples and show them to me. But from now on, okay, I'm going to do the same, but with transitional words. Okay, I have a presentation that I'm going to share that with you, of course, and I'm going to start asking you a lot of examples using all the transitional words we have for all the categories. Okay, so in that
Okay.
way you're going to again practicing like that. All right,
Okay.
good. So before going there, let's go to our lesson first. Remember that we cannot leave this aside completely. So this can be short, but I want to know if you know how to use these words. They can have many meanings, and we were talking about one of the meanings for so, Danitza. But here, I'm not talking about coordinating conjunctions. I'm not talking about those elements. I'm not talking about also intensity, right? Intensifiers in terms of two. I'm talking about only agreement or disagreement. Okay, positive and negative agreement. And we can use these four words to talk about that. I believe that we mentioned or we covered this uh, um, lesson before, but let me know. Yes, actually we did. I don't know if you
Yes.
remember
Mhm.
this.
Mm, just a little.
Okay, what do you remember? Let me know.
Um, yeah. You use saw and two when you want to show opposite agreement, and either when you want to show agreement, but uh, when you disagree with the other person or
Actually,
something
if you
more.
disagree, no, it's going to be negative agreement, right?
Okay,
It's also agreement, but it's negative.
negative. Yes, that.
There you go,
So,
perfect. If you remember that, that's the most important thing. But I want you to try to give me examples. So if I say, Danitza, I love to dance, how do you show agreement with that?
um, mm, I love to. I'm sure. What
Uh-huh.
did you
Love?
say?
Yes, I love to dance, right? I love to dance.
I I love it too. I know. Yes.
That's one way, but that's the long way. What's the short way that we practice that is also very formal?
Mm, I I'm not sure if I have to use I am.
In this case, no. Why? Because
No.
we don't have the verb to be.
Yes.
Remember
Yes.
the rule, right? It works with tag questions, with embedded questions, also with this. If we have the verb to be, we use the verb to be. If we don't have it, we don't use it. But instead of the verb to be, what is the thing in that sentence that is very important? And actually, it's not in the sentence, it's implicit over there.
No sé. I don't know.
It
I
is what
love.
do you do for tag questions, Danitza?
Uh,
Remember the rules for tag questions? If I say,
yes.
right, what's the tag question for I love to dance? Give me the tag question.
Mm, give me a minute.
Tell me the needs I couldn't hear,
Mm,
right? Or if I
you
say,
have to use don't you?
yeah, correct. Don't I, right? If I say, right, I love to dance, don't I? But of course, it doesn't make sense.
Mm,
That's not real tag question, right? Because I cannot verify that with me. Or actually, yes, right? I can say I'm in a party, I'm not dancing, and I say, come on, what am I doing, right? I love to dance, don't I? So I'm asking that to myself. I'm complaining right with myself. But usually it's for other people, right? You love to dance, don't you? Right? So what are we using? Always the auxiliary,
do.
and the pronoun. We do the same here. So what
Mm,
is the agreement, positive agreement for I love to dance? But in this case, it's not the opposite.
I do.
I do too. Exactly. I do too. That's the short and formal way to show agreement. If I say, I went to the party.
I went to what?
I went to the party.
I went.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I did. I did. I did too.
I did too. Exactly. You know that, right? You're still doubting. You actually have to be very sure with this now, Danny. So that's what we're going to practice. But you have to be very positive. Okay, very positive. But say, I love present, right? So do. I went past, so did, right? And the other ones are easier because those are the only difficult ones. Remember, Danitza. Only the simple present and the simple past are hard in any possible structure that you have because they don't have the affirmative, right, auxiliary there. It's not visible, right? We know that it's there, but we don't write it. But in all the rest of the cases, the auxiliary is there. In affirmative, in negative, and in questions, it is there. So you don't have to remember. You have to see that and paste it, right? Copy paste. For example, if I say, I will travel tomorrow, what's the agreement for that? And the auxiliary is over there, right? In the auxiliaries, or sorry, in models, the auxiliary is the model. So that's what we have to use.
I will do.
I will too. Correct. I can play. I can play the guitar.
I can.
I can too. I I have completed the assignments.
I have to.
Yes, because in that case, I have completed. That's present perfect. And in present perfect, the auxiliary is not do, is not does, it is have, right? So it's correct. I have to, right? It has to be that one because that's the auxiliary. And if I say, I had finished before you arrived, I had finished before you arrived.
Here I can use so have I.
But in this case, it's not have, right? Because I'm using past perfect. So had I. Correct.
That's what I was.
In the previous one, yes, in the previous one, yeah, correct. You can use so, right? I was not going there yet, but now that you mentioned that, so is also for affirmative agreement, positive agreement, but yes, it is inverted, right? Great. Good. I think we have that. So let's practice a little bit by reading. This is the first structure. Actually, it's the one that you showed me. Yes, Denise, I think you wanted to say something.
Yes, actually before this class is over. Can I know my last grade from a exam? Just the model that we finished.
A11, I believe that is not there yet. Give me a second. Let me see if it's the one that we just finished, because this week I couldn't do anything. I was also with some exams and anything. Yes, I don't have the final yet for this week. That's something I'm going to present this weekend. All right, I asked for permission for that one. So as soon as I have it, I'm going to also share that information with you. Okay? Because this is the third class for this one, right? If I'm not wrong, this is the third class that we got for this course.
Yes.
Yes. So it was the last weekend that we got to finish everything. So this weekend, I'm going to share this weekend also that information with you.
Okay.
Okay, good. Now, Let's then continue with this. So is the inversion that you told me about. It's just using the same logic, but we start with the word, then the auxiliary, and then the pronoun, right? I like pizza, so do I. Again, I'm going to give you some ideas. Try to give me the positive agreements, Danitza, as fast as you can. All right? If I say they will buy a house.
So will I.
They have forgotten that.
They have forgotten. So have I.
I hadn't finished by the time you got here. And that one actually is going to be different, right? How do you show negative agreement?
Could you please repeat?
Yes, I hadn't finished by the time you got here. What is the negative agreement that you can use in the same order as so?
Neither. Neither, yeah. Right?
Okay. And how? Tell me the example to see if it is going to be
correct. Neither have I.
Close. But in my example, I'm not saying haven't. I'm saying hadn't, right? So it's the past verb. So neither had I, right? Instead of have, had. Had.
Yes.
Did you say had?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I heard that as a V.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, no, it's good. Perfect. Neither had I then. Great. Very good. So I believe that this is clear. So for affirmative agreement, when we have affirmative ideas, we only use inversion and we always use the auxiliary verb, right? If you do it, this is the basic formula, then that's going to be correct. 2, it's even more simple, right? It's the standard order. You use the subject, that is going to be the pronoun, the auxiliary verb, plus this word. And this is the formula, right? And here we have some examples. We're just going to read some of these examples in order to memorize that order and to make it more natural, please, Danitza. So let's read the sentence that you got, plus the 2 ways to agree with that idea, please.
Okay. Lucy likes coffee, so I or I do too. John's at the office. John's at the office. So am I or I am too. Looks going out tonight, so am I or I am too. We went to the cinema yesterday, so did I or I did too. She was at the library, so was I.
There you go, right? We're missing one over there. What's the second way over here? Because we only have one.
So I was too.
I was too. Correct, right? Again, it's repeating. And again, if you realize it's very easy, but we really need to be sure of that. Let's continue with this part, please, Danitza.
Okay, they've been to Colombia, so have I or I have to. Ella will be at the cafe later, so will I or I will too. He would like a cup of tea, so will I or I will too. And I can speak Russian, so can I or I can too.
Great. Okay, so once again, if you realize everything is very simple because it's just repeating, right? Have, will, would, can, had, right? And once again, if you have the verb to be, use the verb to be. If you don't have it, don't use it. The only ones you have to be careful with, once again, Danita, simple present, simple past. But remember, if you have a simple present idea, do or does. It's always going to be the case because you can say, right? So does he, so does she. it's possible to agreement for a third person, right? But just be careful with that. Okay, if that is clear, we are good. Let's go to the next part. That is going to be negative agreement with neither and either, right? Or it can be neither, either. It depends. This is what you were telling me, right? I don't like classical music, neither do I. You already gave me some, well, actually one example with that. But I'm going to give you some more. All right. If I say this, in actually negative, it's easier. Why? Because in negative examples, you always see the auxiliary verb. So it's going to be even easier. If I say this, then it's all right. They won't buy it yet. What's the negative agreement for that?
Neither will I.
Neither will I. They couldn't fix the car.
Neither could I.
Neither could I. And you repeat like that, right? For example, I didn't start it. Oh, sorry, I didn't start the project, or I didn't start it yet. What's the negative agreement for that?
Neither did I. Oh, you.
Neither. Neither did I. Okay, there you go. Okay, simple, right? You got it. Once you get that idea, again, it's very easy. And here we have to be careful with this because it has to be negative, right? I don't either. So it's the same as we were practicing, but it has to be with the auxiliary verb in negative form. That's it. Here we have the same examples. And once again, just to remember, please, I know it's repetitive. I know it's the same examples, but it's just to remember this structure, Danitza, and in order to remember everything. So let's read, please, once again, in order to practice all these examples that we got here.
Lucy doesn't like coffee. Neither do I, or I don't either. John isn't at the office. Neither I am, or I am not either. Luke isn't going out tonight. Neither I am, or I am not either. Gia didn't go to the cinema yesterday. Wait. Neither did I, or I didn't either. She wasn't at the library, neither was I, or I wasn't either. They haven't been to Colombia, neither have I, or I haven't either. Edward won't be at the coffee later, neither will I, or I won't either. He won't like he won't like a cup of tea. Neither will I, or I won't either. Emma can speak Russian, neither can I, or I can't either.
Thank you very much. All right, so again, if that is clear, everything is clear. We know that we have informal ways to say the same, right? Me too, me neither. But again, that's going to be informal. It's common when we are, well, speaking, right? But it's always better to have the formal way, at least for, well, when you're preparing for an international test, for your job, for university, and so on. And then you have some extra links. So that's it. I don't know if you have questions about this part, then let me know, please. I want to use the rest of the time that we got, not a lot, but to practice, to introduce us to transitional words and to start practicing with that. Let me know, please, if you have some questions.
No, about no.
All right, good. Let's then go to, yes, I have to say this, transitional words and phrases, okay? And we are going to start with additive transitions, all right? Additive transitional words and phrases. The presentation, well, actually, first I'm just going to show it to you, then I'm going to upload it because I'm going to update it. but it's the second presentation that is part of the writing course that I showed you then. So let me change this as well. I'm going to take advantage. I'm going to do this. Perhaps some things are going to move, but I'm going to be fixing them. Okay? Later on. I know now it's going to be a little bit disorganized, but again, I'm taking advantage. That is here. We know the formulas. You also have the formula for transitional words and phrases in the document that I showed you before, right? The list of words. This is the same, but I'm going to show you some examples as well. But this is the main formula. And for the examples that we're going to practice, we need this, right? The complete idea, it means an independent clause plus period or semicolon plus the transitional word or phrase plus comma plus another independent clause or complete idea. Okay, that's very, very important. We have some exceptions, yes, but the exceptions are going to be explained here in the presentation, and they are also all right in the file that I showed you before. Okay, but this is very important to take into account. Now, again, as I told you, I'm going to be working on organizing this later on, but these are first all the categories that you got for additive transitions. The ones that are in green are the most commonly used, but of course, all of them are important. It's adding information, introducing or highlighting, referencing, showing similarity, clarifying, identifying important information. And we have the specific terms, or we can call them transitional words, and specific phrases, and those are, of course, the transitional phrases. Here, the examples are, of course, incomplete because we need first one part before this, but they are showing you more or less what's the logic that they use to use these transitional words. All right, so we're going to start with the basic one today, and this is what we're going to practice. So let me know, yes, Danitza, let me know the question that you got, because we're only going to read this and practice only the first category today. But let me know, please, what questions do you got?
I can't find the presentation.
This one, the one that I'm showing you right now?
Yes.
No, it's not yet. As I told you first,
Oh,
I'm going
yeah.
to do it to you because I'm going to fix. As you can see, I really wanted this to be in this format, but you can see that it's not right. Well, it's not looking good. So I'm going to fix it. What you got is the document that I showed you, right? That it's a Word document with a list of transitional words. It's the same, but of course without the examples and without this organization. But as soon as I fix this, all right, this format, I'm going to upload it for you.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, good. Now, again, today, just for today, because this is what we're going to be doing at least every class, let's read this category. This is the first category for transitional words for additive information. Let's read this, please. Adding information.
Adding information. Also, additionally, furthermore, more common terms, common phrases, in addition to a phrase, in fact, as a matter of fact, examples, research writing. Furthermore, the data shows that text is a significant factor. In addition to the above mentioned study, Mr. Rogers also presents. Okay.
And that's incomplete, right? Because we're going to work now complete ideas now. But something that I want you to take here into account, and it's important to understand. If you have here, we don't have exceptions. All of these elements here, the needs to work with the formula that I showed you before, right? Remember, complete idea, semicolon or period,
Yes,
transitional word,
actually.
comma, and complete idea, right? Yes, tell me, Danitza.
Yes. No, I was taking notes. So
All
sorry.
right. Then, but we have to be careful when we see phrase in parentheses, right? What is a phrase, Danitza? How can you define a phrase?
phrase. Um, um, is something that you it's a well a thought, but it's looking of context, could be something like that.
Okay, all right. You can make it simpler, right? Remember that they are opposites. If I say sentence and I say phrase, what's the difference between them? You can summarize that very briefly, but what's the difference between sentence and phrase?
Um, uh, sentence uh, have an active verb, or a verb. Give me a minute, please.
Yeah. One more time, please, Anita. Ah, yes, you're going to do something? I couldn't hear. I'm going to be waiting. All right?
Thank you. Okay, what is a sentence? A sentence is mm, mm, uh, it's a clause.
It is correct. It is a clause. And what's the characteristic of a clause?
Um, as a verb and a subject.
Good, exactly. Uh-huh. And a phrase, you can simply say that it's an incomplete sentence or an incomplete clause, right? It's an incomplete idea. And again, that's why sometimes I rather use the word idea instead of sentence, because if I say complete sentence, complete clause, incomplete clause, it can be even more confusing, right? But a complete idea, that's going to be a sentence or a clause, right? And an incomplete idea, that's going to be a phrase, right? That it's only going to be composed or formed by the subject or only the verb, right? Because you can say simply that, that's also a phrase. If you say what I like is also a phrase because it's something that even though it seems that you have a subject, a verb, you don't have. What I love is just a noun phrase that needs to be completed, right? What I like about you, or this is what I like about you, right? It's going to be one of them. But again, summarizing once again to make it clear, a phrase is an incomplete idea, right? That's why here you can say the above mentioned study. You're not going to give me a clause after in addition to, but it has to be, all right, an incomplete idea. It has to be incomplete. If not, once again, it is going to be a mistake. But this is part of the transitional word and phrase, because after that phrase, you are going to give me now the real idea. This phrase is just clarifying to what you are adding information, right? And this is a very interesting phrase that you can use a lot. Then it's an even in the TOEFL, you can use this one, right? In addition to the above mentioned, I don't know, right, illustration, to the above mentioned point or anything that you mentioned before, or in addition to what I said before, in addition to what was told previously in the document, and you give the next idea. Okay, that's the only thing I want to clarify, because the rest of them are just used in the way that we know, right? With the formula, you only have to be careful once again. Anytime you read the word phrase, you have that freedom, but you have to be careful with that freedom again because some people believe that a phrase is a complete idea, right? But it is not. Okay, it is not a complete idea. It has to be incomplete because the next part is
Mm,
going to be the real clause. All right.
mm,
Now,
Mm,
I want to know if you have questions about this because I'm going to finish today with you writing two examples, but they have to be right with the formula that we know. One with one common term that you choose to use, Danitza, and one with a common phrase. All right, but you need a total of, well, two examples, but one needs to complete ideas with the transitional word in the middle and the other one as well. Right? So
um,
let me know, please, Danitza.
yes. Uh, one example with common terms and the other with common phrases.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. We're going to have 5 minutes. Try to finish in those 5 minutes. If not, we check what you got. And again, remember the rest, what you couldn't complete, is going to be for the next class. But I believe it's going to be enough. Try to work on that, please, Danitza.
Okay. Also, Luis, just to check, after a common term, I need a complete idea, right?
Yes, after all of them, after all the common terms and after all the common phrases, even though you, for example, here write in addition to you need a phrase, but it's not because you need a phrase after this common phrase. It's just because you have the alternative to use, and actually you have to use a phrase inside this phrase, and then you use the complete idea. But after all of them, absolutely all of them, complete idea, huh? Complete idea, semicolon, period, these common terms or these common phrases, comma, complete idea. It has to be always, always, at least to make it a transitional word. If not, it can be something else, but it is not going to be a transitional word.
I understand your explanation about common phrase, so could you please? Okay, after common terms, uh, complete idea. Okay, well, with common phrases, when I saw here, for example, phrase, I need to follow this phrase, common phrase, with a complete idea too.
Yeah, I mean, this is only your transitional, take it this as your transitional phrase. But
Ah,
here you need a complete idea, you need a period or semicolon. This is your transitional phrase. In fact, it's a transitional phrase. In addition to what I mentioned before, it's a transitional phrase. As a matter of fact, it's a transitional phrase. Then you use comma, right? Comma,
huh?
comma, and then the complete idea. So you need a complete
Um,
idea. Mhm.
no, God. Okay,
All right,
okay.
so something before, but let's check. That's going to be then something else because it's the time that we got. I don't know
No,
if you were able
I
to write
didn't
something.
finish. No, sorry.
Okay, finish that then. Okay, let's finish that, Dennis, and then we check.
Okay.
There you go. All right, so let's take a look at what you got. And remember, then you're going to have one homework, right? That is working with a transitional phrase for the next one. But let's do it, okay? Let's read what you got.
Okay. Oh, I'm not sure about this. I don't know
Okay,
if he couldn't describe what he saw that afternoon. Ever since that moment, he had recursive thoughts about it even. So, also decided to get better. He consulted with a psychologist, and that didn't work.
okay, all right. Yes, it is good. I have one detail only. This is going to be good. And we have to realize what we're doing here, all right? Now, but one detail, right? Remember that you cannot make this mistake, right? At least not at this point. Remember that no, right? In Carlos,
Mhm.
the third person, right? So present
Mhm.
or past, one of those things, knows. But perhaps here it feels that everything is in past. So
Mhm.
knew. So Carlos knew or Carlos knows, right? One of those. Then that he couldn't describe what he saw because later on you're using everything great. Okay, this is also great production, Danitza. Okay, so that's great.
Thank you.
That
I
he
was
saw.
crying.
No, it's good, really, really. Again, I feel that I don't know, but today I'm feeling you a little, well, way more confident. Okay, and you're doing good. I mean, you're always right doing great, but today in particular, right? It feels different. It's good. So, describe what he saw right that afternoon. Ever since that moment, he had recursive thoughts. That's great about that the event, right? Remember, not event, right? In the second part, the stress event. Also, no, if you say this is going to be incorrect. Decided to get better. When you're talking about him, if you use just decided past participle, it cannot be used as a phrase. That
Mhm.
all right. You have two options: deciding to get better, like describing the idea of deciding something, or having decided to get better, talking about a previous decision about that. Okay, but it has to be always with gerund. Okay, because this is a
Mhm.
phrase. What you're showing me here,
Mhm.
right? This is an interrupter or a possible introductory, right, idea. But again, the two possibilities are, yes, I'm going to do it here. So having, this is for, of course, a past thing that happened. So having decided to get better, so he decided that, all right, that's for a past thing. But if you're saying that now, if it's recent or a present thing, it can be deciding to get better. But that's going to be not as common. And at least in this element, this is going to be my suggestion. All right. To make it a phrase, it has to be a gerund. A general idea, a general phrase only needs the gerund, the verb in the gerund form, right? Also, being aware of reality, okay? Being aware because now he's aware of that, right? Also, taking into account all those details, comma. So now taking into account all those details now, correct.
Mhm.
But if you want to talk about a past idea, having having taken into account all those elements, having decided to get better, having started the new job. Okay, so something that happened is going to be with having plus the verb in the past participle. All right, so this is my correction. Having decided to get better, he consulted, okay, with a psychologist, and that didn't work. Now, here, if you say that, then this is another subject. So you need a
Mhm.
comma over
Mhm.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Those are my only corrections, but we are using the transitional word correctly. Okay, we're going to see how it works with the phrase, but it's exactly the same here. Instead of this, you can use a transitional phrase and it's going to work the same. Okay, but of course, we need a different example just to practice. I don't know if you have any questions about these corrections or these recommendations, Anita. Let me know, please.
No, I don't have questions about this.
Good,
Mm.
there you go. And again, if you realize I'm not giving lots of corrections, just few details, but these few details can be very important in an exam. All right,
Yes,
the
yes.
details about the conjugation or these words over here. All right, but once again, those are things that happen. Okay, they simply happen. But just don't forget about them. That's it. If you don't have any more elements, and yes, it's important to remark that as well because it was part of the element that we changed, right? And here it
Mhm.
has to be like this. Okay, so that's it. I'm sharing the poll as always. Remember, please work on these elements. You still have one more sentence with a semicolon and a fanboy. You can practice optionally one or two are the ones that you want right related to colon or dash with a conclusion, right, illustration. But mainly, right, you have to complete this. That is the additive transition with transitional phrases. That's it. If
Mm,
you can work something else that is extra, it's also something that you can tell me. All right. But I don't know. Anything else before finishing? Let me know.
no, thank you, Luis.
Great. There you go. So once again, it is done. Great. Have a good night. Okay. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you on Monday then. Okay. Take care.
See you Monday. Take care too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Good night.